Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Kasey Keller is here in the studio. We've also got Nedum Onuoha and Julian Laurent with us as well. They've also been doing some other work today on some other outlet, I'm told, but nowhere near as good as the things that they're delivering right here on Extra Time. First question's for you, Nedum. As an impartial person from Manchester...
very impartial, yes.
Who has a better chance to challenge Liverpool for the title, Arsenal or Chelsea?
Impartial from Manchester could never be me. I think in the end you'd probably say Arsenal. I think right now, form-wise, Chelsea are clearly very much up there, but I think Arsenal's body of work across the last 2 seasons will suggest that they can go on a really long run, probably being unbeaten, winning some big games. So I would lean that way, but what Chelsea are doing is very, very impressive. It's come a lot earlier than a lot of people thought. Maybe some people thought it wouldn't be there at all, but I think if you want to talk form, you'd say Chelsea. If you want to talk for the season, it'd be very tough to go against Arsenal.
As for our Arsenal, Kasey, should Arsenal hire an open play specialist?
Look, I think we've all been having our fun at the free kick specialist, and he's getting his money's worth right now, for sure, but kind of what the guys were talking about over the last couple of weeks is everybody does the same thing, more or less. And then what it comes down to is, do you have 2 things? The quality of service consistently, and then do you have a group of players within your team? You're marking me, I'm marking you. Am I going to beat you, or are you going to beat me? And right now, Arsenal has a great balance between the 2. The great service and players that are capable of beating the person that's marking them, and they're benefiting from it.
Absolutely. So, Jules, we're asking if you've ever seen a team that have been this good at corners, at set pieces. You know who always springs to mind for me is Atleti. In there about 10 years ago, you'll remember that they were so strong from corners as well, but I don't know the numbers and I don't know the stats. Is there anyone that stands out to you?
Yeah, that's a good shout, Kay. The Godin team was very good on set pieces. Lyon are doing really well in France right now under PSG since he took over a year ago. They've been ascending, and I think on the graphic that we showed earlier on the show, they were maybe the 5th best team with 15 goals since the start of last season. But really, it's more since PSG took over a year ago that they've been working a lot on set pieces. And there's no secret. You need to work a lot at it, at training. You need to have players who can deliver the ball really well, and in Saka and Rice, Arsenal have that. In Ryan Cherki, Lyon have that. I mean, the guy takes corners right foot and left foot. The same player with the 2 different feet. It's amazing. So you need that quality of deliveries, and then you need obviously the tall guys. If it's you and me, Kay, in the box against Kasey and Nedum, we don't have a chance. Even with Cherki, Rice or Saka taking the corners. So if you have a bit of all of that, you have a chance.
Yeah, we can bite their ankles, Jules. Jules,
yeah, true.
Here is your obligatory Mbappé question. Whenever you're on Extra Time, I feel as though you always get at least one of these. Here we go. Jules, Mbappé often used the excuse of missing the PSG Japan training camp to justify his level last year. Has he not recovered his form since?
I mean, his fitness is a good question, and I think it's a debate that is a bit more complicated than just him missing the preseason last year, which he did miss. He didn't go away on tour to Japan with the rest of the team because he was punished for the fact that he didn't want to basically trigger the 3rd season that he had in his contract. At the time, we knew that. There was still a question mark over his future, but we knew that he would at least not trigger the year extension that he had in his current contract at the time. But I think the fact that he's played so much since he was 16 really and made his debut for Monaco, the fact that there's a lot of summers where there was obviously no holidays for him, like, not just him, a lot of players, but I think at some point your body, especially when you rely a lot on that fitness, the pace, the acceleration, that kind of stamina, I think there's a time where it takes its toll on you, I think. So there's a few things, and I think also when you're 16, 17, like him when he started, or even 18, 19, the World Cup 2018, etc., your body is still quite young in terms of like muscular. Between now and then, his body has changed. He's got more muscles. He's bigger, fitter in a way. But I think that also maybe, I mean, Nedum is the sprinter pro here, really. Even now, he's old age. But it looks like with Kylian putting weight on, he also had an impact on the pace, for example, and then his fitness in terms of acceleration, for example.
Nedum, I'll let you get him in a minute, but first, Jules, just because you are on, I think the last time I was on with you, you told us that Mbappé was going to do an interview, and it was a bit of an off-the-wall choice of who he was going to be interviewed by. Has that happened today? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Kay. Yeah, well, good memory. Yeah, tonight it was on this really cool show that we have in France called Click, with a very super cool presenter, and it was good. To be fair, I need to watch it completely in full, but from what I've seen before coming on the show, it talked really about everything, and including Real Madrid and the love from the people that as soon as he arrived, even before he played, showed him. He said, "Well, I was in Paris. You need to prove before they love you." In Madrid, he said he felt that love, and he said it will come. He wanted to do so well. He talked about France. He talked about what happened in Sweden. The controversial in that October international break. He talked about the kind of argument with Deschamps about November international break where he didn't go. Deschamps still hasn't really said why he decided not to call him up. But I thought he spoke really, really well, and that was recorded on Tuesday night, so before the Wednesday game against Athletic Club de Bilbao when he missed the penalty, and obviously before Saturday's game where he scored that lovely goal.
Oh, lovely. So, Jules, you're going to have time to catch up before you record the latest Gab and Jules show, and that is even more reason to listen to the Gab and Jules podcast, because no doubt there'll be more talk about Mbappé on that tomorrow. Next question. Oh, no, actually, first, Nedum, are you going to accept that?
Listen, it's Jules, who's a really good friend of mine. I'm prepared to accept any sort of insults that somebody in their 40s would say to somebody in their 30s about being old. So yeah, let's keep it moving. Yeah, we're fine. No dramas.
Late 30s, all right, Nedum?
30s.
All right, so still the 30s, right? Okay, for Kasey, how much pressure was on you to do well at Rayo Vallecano since you were the first American to play in La Liga's Primera Division?
Well, there was, and also I was coming in to play ahead of Julian Lopetegui, who had been voted not Rayo Player of the Season, but the second division Player of the Season in their promotion to La Liga. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure to come in and be able to perform, but I enjoyed that. I think if you don't enjoy that as a goalkeeper, you're in the wrong position, because the pressure is not, it's part of the position. And so we had a great start, and I think that always helps. Coming into a situation where you're in a club that got promoted, there's a little bit of controversy that you're starting ahead of somebody else. You need to start well. And us as a squad, we're away at the Vicente Calderón. We beat Atletico Madrid in the first match 2-0, and that kind of got the ball rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Nedum, how much pressure was there on you to come and perform over here in MLS?
Zero, because as I arrived at Salt Lake, I think there were 2 people in the team that knew who I was. So yeah, it's like, oh, who's this guy? Yeah, hopefully he does well. I guess I did well, but yeah, the pressure was certainly not on me.
Love it. Jules, can anyone catch up with PSG in Ligue 1 this season?
Absolutely, to my despair, considering they can't score goals for their lives lately. I mean, after the draw on Friday night against Auxerre, I said on the show many times before, in France we take the players' ratings very seriously, whether it's in L'Équipe or Le Parisien newspapers or other newspapers as well. It's very serious. And L'Équipe gave the Auxerre goalkeeper 10 out of 10. I don't know if Kasey ever had a 10 out of 10 or
I had a couple.
5 out of 5 in the ratings when he was playing. I'm sure you had. But the 10 out of 10 is super rare in L'Équipe. And Donovan Leon, who's the Auxerre goalkeeper, got that because he was that good. But PSG not scoring is really frustrating. I think everybody's super frustrated. And in the meantime, behind, Marseille and Monaco are winning again this weekend. So they're closing the gap a little bit to 5 points. But of course, I think 5 points is not much, as we've been discussing on all the title races that we talked about tonight on the show, about all the different leagues. So, yeah, of course, they can catch up with them.
How is the French press dealing with Luis Enrique right now? What's the feeling around him?
We need a whole show, Kay, because he can be, as you know, so brilliant and also so annoying because of the way he answers. He's so condescending at times, so patronizing, and yet and yet super smart too. So it's been let's say like a kind of a love-hate relationship so far, and I don't think that will change.
So Jules, have you ever had the ask a dumb question, get a dumb answer, or is it just sometimes the managers can get a little bit testy?
All of that, Kasey, is hard. Like, have you played before? Have you played football before? No, you haven't. So shut up, basically. That was that. We've had that. We've had all those kind of answers. Yeah, he's been. To be fair, I found him really, really such a good client when it comes. I know sometimes it can be frustrating and annoying because of his personality, but I've enjoyed every press conference really this season.
Yeah, nice stuff. Dan and I have got a friend who's got a documentary out at the moment on Luis Enrique, and it's well worth watching. We've actually showed a little bit on the show where he's talking to Mbappé. It's got a perfect name as well. I won't say it on air. You've got to go and look up for it. He named it himself, basically. What's more likely, guys? I'll ask all of you this. City finishing outside of the top 4 or United finishing outside of the top 10? Nedum.
Boy. Oh, that is a tragic question, that one, isn't it? I can't see City finishing outside the top 4, I'll be honest with you, especially given the fact that like Spurs, a team you'd expect to be there, aren't really having the best season, maybe same for Villa as well. So, as crazy as it may sound, I think it's more likely United finish outside the top 10. But these odds are very, very long, so I wouldn't be backing either of them, to be honest.
Are United finishing outside the top 10 or City?
I don't think so. I don't think United will finish out the top 10, and I don't think City will finish out of the top 4.
Which is the most likely?
I think the most likely is United.
Okay.
Simply because I think something is going to click at Man City, and and look out, because I think they're going to put a number on a few teams coming up.
Jules?
Yeah, I agree with I think both of them will finish top 4, top 10. But if I had to pick one, I think United out of the top 10 would be more likely than City out of top 4.
Nice. For Kasey, this is where we end. Your top 3 goalkeepers of all time.
I liked English goalkeeping back in the day, so maybe it was just kind of at my age when I kind of started to see things, and I was a big fan of Peter Shilton, big fan of Pat Jennings, who I was able to then later kind of work with at Spurs, and then I think kind of one of my contemporaries who I played with against a bunch of times, and I thought is just a really nice man, and I thought Peter Schmeichel then kind of took stuff to another level at Man U, and then obviously at Man City. Funny enough, a Spurs fan had made a painting of me and had asked, as they gave me this painting, if I could get Peter Schmeichel's jersey for him in that final season at Man City. So we had a nice little trade, and I told Peter about it, and he very nicely gave me a jersey, and I still have that painting on a wall in my gym.
The producer's wondering if you put Peter Schmeichel in your top 3 just so you could tell that lovely story.
No.
No?
No, I knew this question was going to come.
Pete, it's a similar name. You should have been happy with it, producer Pete. Jules, did he leave anyone out there in his top 3?
I mean, those choices are always quite subjective, to be fair, because there's different stories for each other. I just think that somebody like Gigi Buffon, even if he never won the Champions League, probably deserves to be somewhere, Kasey, isn't he?
100%.
Even just for the longevity of the career that he had, for example.
But the one thing that, but I was also channeling, also because it was funny that when Neuer had that action the other day, the one thing that really got me interested in goalkeeping was Tony Schumacher's destruction of who was it, Jules? Battiston, and that was what just piqued my interest in being a goalkeeper.
Yes, obviously. All right, I think that's all we've got time for on the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. Thanks to Nedum.